Good morning, everyone. Hope you're doing well out there. Yes, hello. Yes, perfect timing. We are live. We are back for a new week. It is Tuesday. Hello, small cat. Good to see you. Tuesday, the 6th of May. Lovely to see you all again. Good to be back live. Ended up having a bit of the flu last week, so we didn't get as much live streams in. But we're back this week. There's some cool videos planned. Let's jump in. Starting off this week, we are building Elsha Threefold Master. This is one of the commanders from the Jeskai Precon. Looks like a cool one. We haven't done any of the Jeskai ones yet, so we'll be doing a couple of them this week, along with some other cool things. Let's read Elsha Threefold Master. It is a Jeskai for a 1-1 with Trample, Prowess, and whenever Elsha deals combat damage to a player, create that many 1-1 white monk creature tokens with Prowess. So, a 3-mana 1-1, not phenomenal. But we do like Trample and we do like Prowess. And the ability to make more monks with Prowess is very, very good. Those Prowessy monks really add up to a lot of damage. Let's just adjust this a sec. They really... Basically, this is just rewarding us for casting instant and sorceries. Like this is it is a one-card engine to an extent. Like, realistically, in this deck, you don't actually need to run any other creatures. You could just run Elsha, 38 lands, and a bunch of cantrips, and you probably have a decent enough deck. We are going to do more than that, though. With this deck, the plan is... We've got our categories up in the top right corner. I'll kind of go over what we're looking at doing today. Again, link to the deck will be down in the description below if you want to build it yourself. If you want to change some cards up, you can do that. We're kind of going with things that I think work well with the deck. So the point of this deck is we're going to start... Basically, we want to be hitting face with Elsha. Because of this combat damage trigger. Like, these monks really will add up to a bunch of damage, and they're kind of a nice, happy byproduct of everything else the deck is doing. Kind of like, the card does explain the game plan pretty well. The plan is to cast a bunch of instants or sorceries to make Elsha have a higher power and toughness. We then rumble in, deal combat damage to a player, and then that's what makes us a board state. Normally with Spellslinger style decks, you need to have certain cards like Shark Typhoon, Shark Tornado, that kind of thing, like or like Telrand, for example, a card that makes you makes you a creature whenever you cast an instant or sorcery. This is doing it a bit different. Kind of like the end result is we have a token board state that we're going to use to win the game. But the way we get it with this deck is by casting instant or sorceries that trigger the prowess to make its power more, because this is also the nice commander rules of it. Create that many 1-1 white creature tokens. So if we deal 1 damage to an opponent, we make 1 token. If we deal 10 damage to an opponent, we make 10 tokens. That's pretty good. That's very strong. So it's not just going to be cantrips in this deck. It's going to be... Hello, small cat. It's going to be buff effects, like combat tricks. Like, we can't run Giant Growth, but like a spell that gives Elsha an additional... buff to power it will mean it'll get through for more damage, means we'll make more tokens. Then once we have those tokens, we can either run other effects that give all of our board like a buff to power, or or like overrun effects. We're not in green, so I am mentioning it, but that kind of thing. As I mentioned, we have our categories in the top right corner. We're going to look for around 18 pump, double strike, or evasion spells. Ideally, these are going to have the word draw a card on them. Like, cantrips are still great in this deck. We are still a Spellslinger deck. So if any of these pump spells have draw a card on them, we will love that. We're then going to have about 8 more prowess or token makers. There are other cards that make these prowess monks. We're going to look for those, because more prowessy monks is going to be good. And then we'll top this up with some of the Talrandy stuff as well, potentially. 12 bits of card draw, like dedicated card draw. These decks can really run a bunch of card draw, because a Ponder will trigger prowess on this and all of our stuff. Like, that's really good. We would want to be running a Ponder anyway for some nice filtering, but it just really helps out with the deck. And then as normal, 10 bits of interaction, 4 bits of protection. We're going to have a bit of recursion in this, but specifically for instant sorceries, stuff like the Feather the Redeemed tile of stuff. And then 4 bits of copy effects or Zada style of things. This is effectively going to be our win cons. If you ever played a Feather the Redeemed Zada deck, why Elsha is kind of cool is that effectively it adds blue to the deck, and blue really gives us access to a bunch of the strongest instant sorceries. So we love that, and also obviously Jeskai as well. And then to try and off the deck, some prowess buff to all stuff. So things that give prowess to prowess or pseudo prowess to all of our creatures. So we can really start hitting our opponents for a bunch of damage. All right. We have our deck over here. Let's start looking for some cards. So let's do the pump double strike evasion spells first. So this is going to be cards that pump up its power. We've got these 3 pump double strike and evasion. We'll kind of split between them. So generally here, I think plus and draw a card is going to be a decent way for searching for these. Needs to want instant first. Alright, how are we going to search this? Let's do EDH rank, I guess, or maybe actually mana value. We have some great ones first. So Fists of Flame is a great example of this. 1 and a red, draw a card until end of turn. Target creature gains trample and gets +1 so for each card you've drawn this turn. So this with a bunch of other draw effects is going to be really nice with Elsha. Give it a nice little buff. Same with Defiant Strike. It's 1 mana. It replaces itself. It draws a card. Target creature gets +1 so until end of turn. So this with Elsha. So Defiant Strike with Elsha. Single white draws a card. Casting it triggers prowess. It becomes a 2/2. It then makes it a 3/2 because of this buff. If we connect with this now, that's 3 prowessy monks. This is kind of how this deck is going to be built. So let's get this in. Fists of Flame. Let's do this as... Let's just call it Pump for now in the tags. Because tags don't like to be too long. Alright. I think actually we might do this by mana value, because one of the best things about this deck is that the curve is going to be phenomenal. Hello, small cat. Good to see you. Yeah, this is by mana value, actually. There's only 19 of the things, apparently. Alright. There's a bunch of weird ones as well that we'll probably end up running. There's a bunch of these ones that kind of let you do it only before certain points. So cast this spell during combat after blockers are declared. So importantly, you do actually have to attack for this to be able to cast this card. You can't like go through combat. Like in theory, blockers are only declared if creatures are attacking. So you do actually have to attack to get this. But flip a coin. If you win the flip, target creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Marvelous. We love that. Draw a card at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep. So it's drawing a card and potentially filtering us through a deck. Marvelous. Probably not this, because it's not going to have Toxic. Probably not do Guided Strike. Target creature gets +1/+1 and gains first strike until end of turn. Draw a card. We love that. And then we have the 2025 version of this card. Target creature gets +3/+0 until end of turn. Draw a card. We love that as well. It's a big bit of pump, actually. Discard a spell, discard a card. Discard. I don't think. This is probably fine. This can actually be a relatively budget deck as well, which is quite nice. Hello, small cat. Creatures you control get +1/+1 till end of turn. If you control a Kithkin, we will not be controlling a Kithkin. Attacking creature gets +X/+0 until end of turn, where X is the number of players being attacked. That's not. Lawhole Command, I think, could be alright. Lawhole Command will come into the prowess buff to all, basically. So that's a solid little start to begin with. There will obviously be some sorceries as well. Let's load up those. What else do we have? Ancestral Anger. It's probably still fine. Target creature gains trample and gets +X/+0 until turn, where X is the number, where 1 plus the number of cards named Ancestral Anger. So it's only ever going to be 1, but it's still pretty solid. Spot cat. It is effectively a Defiant Strike, which is fine in this deck. Mistress Command, probably actually alright. Just being able to put all of our mana into it, I do quite like that. That seems pretty solid, actually. Alright. Marvellous. So those are some nice replacement ones. Let's just look at just what is the best bits of buff here. We can search for creature. Target creature, I guess. Target. Creature. Marvellous. Right, let's do mana value. These are all just going to be phenomenal in the deck. Like, they're so cheap, they replace themselves. And they really just help out with the curve, and they all help out with the game plan. That's one of the best things with this type of deck, is just... You just further your game plan by playing Magic, and that's really, really strong. Right, so here... we are going to mainly go for ones that just are really efficient. So Balduin Rage and I didn't come up last time, but it's a buff, and also lets us draw a card at the beginning of the next turn upkeep. That is still solid. We will run you. Here we're going to go... so Brute Force, great card. +3/+3. It is just Giant Growth. This deck should be pretty budget, actually. And yes, there is a commander... like, this is one of the commander precons, so I should mention at the start, this isn't going to be an upgrade video. It's if you're building it from scratch. Right, build to smash, great one. These are both effectively just Giant Growths, which we love. What else do we want? Oh, this cat does get quite heavy after a while, but we love you, and you're worth it. Meow. Right. Some other good ones. Revenant Strike. No, we can do better. Flowstone Infusion. No, that will kill our commander. We don't want that. How many are we on with? 10? It's pretty good. Infuriate. +3/+2. We'll take that. Haven't had any blue cards yet, but we will very shortly. Don't worry. There's a bunch of good options here. So Prowess does also do... ooh, Monstrous Rage is really good. Sorry, Prowess does do auras as well, so we might add one or two auras, but I think we're looking pretty good. I generally want this to be 1 mana. Ooh, slip out the back. I'm going to add this in now. This is effectively protection. But if it's on counter on target creature, it phases out. I'm going to do this now just because otherwise I'll forget. So this is protection. Very solid card. Lets you cast it in response to a board wipe, which is really nice. Protect your commander. Permanently buffs it up. Yeah, very good card. We love that. Titan Strength, a classic in this genre. And just the fact that these are all 1 mana. Like, the curve is absolutely fantastic. You're going to have to do so much stuff in this deck. Like, this is the I really like these kind of spell slingery decks because what they're great at is just letting you do things. Like, you have so many game actions, which is really nice. I really like it. On to the 2 mana ones now. You probably look... Antagonize is quite a lot. We're at 12. So I'm probably going to start looking at... oh, I love a Blood Frenzy. A bit all in with this. So yeah, you can definitely go up to like the... if you're at 2 mana, you can definitely go up to ones that deal like 4 damage, which is very strong. I think actually because of where we are... we need 6 more. Let's add Mighty Leap. Because it gives flying. So part of this is we also want some evasion in here. So flying is very solid. Pump. Right. So let's do evasion. So... target creature... there's a shadow one. Shadow ref. Target creature against shadow until end turn. Draw a card. Because the other thing we want to be doing is getting it through for damage. Good morning, Nostalgic Moonshot. Yes, this is a brew for a commander deck. We're brewing Elsha Threefold Master as a commander. So So having, like, giving it evasion is going to be really solid, because it just, basically, yes, it has trample, but if we can just get it through for damage without having to worry about it being blocked, these are going to be really good later in the game, because opponents will have board states that are going to be bigger than, like, or later in the game, our opponents are going to have board states that are large. Not having to worry about blockers will be really nice. So giving our commander Shadow will be nice. There's one that gives it flying. Mana value, please. The Leap is a good one. Green gains flying, draws a card. We love all that. There's can't be blocked as well. There's just one blocked, I think it is, from a recent set. Let's do release date actually. That's not it. Cannot. It cannot be blocked or can't be blocked. How does it worded? If anyone knows the card I'm thinking of, let me know. It might be a sorcery, that's why. Release date, where are you? Here we are. Enter the Enigma. Target creature can't be blocked this turn. Very solid card in this kind of deck. Pump. So we're at 16 now. Pretty good. That's 4 mana. Pretty solid though. Yeah, this is oddly a pretty budget deck if I'm honest with you. So we said we wanted 18. We're actually at 40. We're actually at 16. So let's just get a couple more in. What else do we want? Meow. Let's just do by EDH rank and see what is the hotness in here. EDH rank. So we're not really looking at equipment. We are looking for more instant and sorcery based style of things. Shore up that you're more protection. This is the kind of thing that we're after with this. Like hexproof and indestructible, that stuff's going to be pretty good in protection. I lost my camera. You come back. Good girl. Good girl. Ow. Come to Pappy, please. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Alright. We wanted the 2 mana ones. Let's do... Actually, we didn't really look at sorceries. I don't care about sorceries. I want instants. If we have the option to do stuff on instants, then I think we generally do. So reach out plus... Let's go back to 2 mana. Let's get some big ones in here. Yes, small cat. Alright, 2 mana. Let's finish this off. Let's just get Antagonize in here. +4 is a lot of bodies. If we get through for that, it's a lot of stuff. We love that for us. And then... Where are we? There's some other good ones. This is probably good. Frontline Rush on the new set. Either make 2 goblins or target creature plus X plus and learn about X the number of creatures you control. That's going to be pretty solid in this deck. Again, you can really customize this to what you want. Because I've built like a Zada and I've built a Feather deck before. Like the ones that draw cards are generally really solid. They just keep the deck rolling. It's very good. Alright, so that's our 18. Oh shit. Oh, balls. We didn't do double strike. That's why I was struggling over there. Alright. Target creature. Double strike. Double strike, very good in a Prowsy deck. Is double strike 2 words? Probably is. Double strike. Marvelous. Right, this is what we wanted. Alright, so I'm going to cut some of the worst ones. So the worst ones will be 2 mana. So... Antagonize, out you come. And... Frontline Rush, out you come. I know we just added you. But Double Strike is just going to be really solid in this deck. Because it's just going to double... Until I turn double... Target creature gains double... Double target creature's power and it gains first strike. That's sort of the same. That's sort of what we're after. But yeah, I thought this end we're going to add... Oh, actually, we can add Boros Charm as some protection. Why is Titan Strength in protection? That's dumb. If we have more of this, it's not the end of the world. Alright. Boros Charm, really solid. Deal sword damage target player or planeswalker. Not going to use that in Commander. Permanents you control gain indestructible in a turn. Very nice. So taking you from a board wipe. And target creature you control gain double strike. Doubling the amount of damage that Elsha deals. Shockingly, going to be really good. Shockingly, going to be great in this deck. Because it just doubles the amount of tokens that we make. Doubles the amount of things we make of Elsha. Very solid. Okay, so that's our 18 bits of pump, double strike, and evasion. You could probably add a Psychotic Fury or an Uncaged Fury potentially. They're both very solid. But let's look at some prowess or token makers. So let's just get Elsha up and copy the text that it says Elsha. Because we want more of these tokens. 1/1 monk token with prowess. I think all these monks are white, but should all be fine. So we want as many of these as possible. Let's go. Wrong button. Token prowess. Let's just do the easy way. Alright, perfect. We have a bunch here. So, Aligned Heart. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, put a rally counter on this jump, and then create a 1/1 white monk with prowess with each counter on it. Really going to be solid in this deck. Just having more of a board state is going to be good. We're going to have more things that will... Again, these are cards we are incidentally making these off of our commander and incidentally buffing them up off of our commander as well. Just going to be really good. Really going to push the deck over the edge and just lets you go. Like, the commander itself goes tall when you do stuff, and it rewards you for doing that by going wide. Those decks tend to be really strong when you have like a one-shot Voltron commander and a massive board state as well. Those tend to be pretty good. I hear Corey Steel Cutter is a good magic card. Let's add you. I don't think I opened one of these, so potentially cubable. We didn't touch on this in our deck tech, but I think it could be pretty good. Monastery Mentor, the classic. Did this actually get banned in a format? Restricted in Vintage. Yes, there you go. Good with a Mox. So I've heard, anyway. What else do we want? We could add Elemental Eruption. That's kind of a vibey. They're bigger dragons. They're sort of monks. They're monk-adjacent dragons. Yeah, let's add you. That's kind of funny. What else do we have? I don't think I want to be spending 4 mana for that. Oh, but we got 4 in here. That's pretty solid. Do you make prowessy monks? No, you just make... Oh, you do make prowessy monks. Do we want Jaya? Is Jaya good in this? Have you cast it in red? No. That ultimate isn't really helpful. Whenever you cast a red instant or sorcery, copy it. That's not that good in this deck, where we are going to be more than just red. Okay, but we have 4. That's pretty good. Let's just do the... cast token. Let's see what comes up. EDH rank. This is going to be the Talrandi type stuff. So there's kind of 2 ways you can really go with your token makers. You can either run token makers that are based on the size of spell you're casting, like your Shark Typhoon, or you can go the fixed body style of method. In this deck, Talrand is going to be better than Shark Typhoon. The reason for that is Shark Typhoon is better in decks where you're running large instant or sorceries, because you create a shark with XX, where X is the spell's mana value. Like, making a bunch of 1/1 flyers is still going to be solid, but on a 6 mana spell, that's not as consistent. Whereas Talrand, 4 mana, bit cheaper, always makes us 2/2s. Most of the instant sorceries in this deck are 1 mana. The majority of them are 1 mana, so we're up on power with a card like Talrand. So normally, nowadays, I've been going more the Shark Typhoon-y route, but in this deck specifically, things like Talrand that guarantee us power and toughness are going to be better. That's where we are with that. Same with Murmuring Mystic or Third Path Iconoclast. This is a 2 mana one that guarantees to make us 1/1 artifacts. That's pretty solid. We'll add you. Sahili is also very solid. Ooh, but actually we can do Thousand Moon Smithy in this deck. Does this actually... Never you cast it. Okay, no, it doesn't actually make us the bodies. Very cool card, though. So again, so Metallurgic Summonings is more in the Shark Typhoon guild. Same with Dika. I want guaranteed power and toughness. So Poppet Stitcher might be pretty solid. Whenever you cast an sorcery, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token with Decayed. At the beginning of your upkeep, you control 3 or more creature tokens, which we probably will because of our commander. Transform it. Creature tokens you control lose all abilities. I thought they just became 3/3s, but losing all abilities, losing the prowess, not great, not what we want. Docking to Perfection, however. 5 mana makes 1/1s, but if we control 3 or more wizards, which this makes, they become 3/2s. That's pretty solid. I like Docking to Protection of Perfection. Sorry. Prowess token makers. We love that for us. We want 1 more, I think, based on the numbers. Yes, good. These numbers are generally based on chances of seeing them in the game. Ooh, Magnus the Red. Ooh, I do like Magnus the Red. I mean, Rite of the Dragoncaller? Our curve is already phenomenal. We do have room for this kind of stuff. 6 mana, when you cast an instant sorcery spell, make a 5/5 dragon? Sure. Let's add you. You're kind of rad. Again, you can run the cheaper ones, but I think, yeah, why not? Again, our curve is already going to be pretty good. We do want most of this deck, we want over a third of this deck to be instant or sorceries, but in this section specifically, we are able to be a bit more flexible. Alright, card draw. This is going to be pretty straightforward, because we're just going to run the best card draw that we can. Draw a card in these colours. Let's just do EDH rank, I guess. Again, this is where you could add Ristic Study if you wanted to. Ooh, Skull Clamp going to be great in this deck because the monks are 1/1s. If you're in a deck that makes tokens with 1 power and 1 toughness, or no, specifically with 1 toughness, I think you just run Skull Clamp. I don't see a world where you don't run Skull Clamp. Can't draw. And this is where you can add your Smothering Tides and your Ristic Studies if you so wish. The stuff like Ponder I think is going to be great in this deck. It's a single blue, triggers everything our deck is doing. We love that. Same with Preordain. Same. Are we going as deep as we might just be opting. I think because we already have these 1 mana ones, we don't like. I don't think we need to go as deep as Opt just because we have a bunch of other options in here. But I think Windfall might be a good shout. Discard your hand, draw that many cards. In this deck where we have all these cheap buff effects, we could just empty our hand and then this lets us refill it again. I think Windfall and draw, draw 7s are going to be pretty solid. What else do we have? Archmage Emeritus. I think that we can have room for this. Again, we don't have room for too many too many creature spells or too many permanents, but this is one that's just very solid. I think it can get in. Consider as well. Surveil 1, draw a card. It triggers everything that the deck wants. It's just going to be solid. Welcoming Vampire is interesting. It will trigger at least once a turn with this. You could go this way. It's pretty good. Some big card draw with Treasure Cruise. We're going to be putting a bunch of this stuff into the bin. Treasure Cruise, very solid card. Very good and broken magic card. Serum Visions, draw a card, strike 2, just solid. That's why I feel we can run like Dracogenesis, just because the curve is... Jesus. 18 1-drops. This is how you play Magic, everyone. This is how you do these kind of decks. Magus of the Wheel, interesting. What's some obvious ones we haven't seen yet? Like Faithless Looting. Lauren Revealed can get us a land early. Love that for us. Where are we looking at? Deep Analysis. Yeah, there's just so many. Again, you can really make this section your own. Run as much as you want. I like it. I like Deep Analysis. Let's add you in. Card draw. Ooh, here we get the multicolored ones. Whenever you cast an non-green spell, draw a card. Kind of another Archmage Emeritus. We can run another one of these. We have 12. I think I kind of want another draw 7, actually. Is that bad? You could also go Coastal Piracy. I'm going to add one Coastal Piracy in here just as an example of what you can do. But we're making a bunch of tokens in this deck. Each creature drawing a card whenever we connect is going to be pretty solid. I think I want a draw 7, though. I want another one. Draw 7. Please and thank you. I mean, Midnight Clock, not terrible. Can add you with, but there's a bit of a ramp, actually. But let's do... Commit to Memory, not terrible. The memory part is a draw 7. Think I like you. It's a bit of interaction, but we can add it into card draw just for the time being. Where are we? So, let's move over to our interaction next. Did I not? Oh, I didn't add ramp to this list. That's not great. Right. So we might have to make some adjustments. I've just realised we haven't added ramp to our categories. I made this last night. Don't worry about it. We have room for everything. We might have to cut some stuff, actually. Alright, let's get our ramp in. Midnight Clock ramp. Soul Ring. Arcane Signet. Wayfarer's Meow. Hello, darling. Good to see you. Wayfarer's Bauble. Right. What else is solid ramp? Let's just do Signets. We want Is It Signet? And Boros Signet. Right, we have some Signets. What else do we want? Let's just look for things that we want. Then we can do a full cycle of Talismans. Why not? These are all... Oddly, one of the things with being a 3-color deck is it does actually make some of your choices pretty good. An Elspeth in the Collector Boot? Yeah, Elspeth is great in this deck, actually. Very, very solid. Meow. Good, we have 10 bits of ramp. We love that for us. Where are we? 53? Alright, so I think we will actually need to cut some of these because we just made room for our ramp. So what do we want to cut? We can just cut some of the worst ones. Let's just cut Serum Visions. Hello, we're back. It's the Pinkertons. Thanks. We're all good. Yes, they're on to me. They know I've got all those booster boxes of... What is the new set? Final Fantasy. Spoilers start soon, I guess. All right, let's finish off this deck. All right, so we've got our ramp, we've got our protection. Actually, let's finish off our protection. Nice, cheap counter magic is going to be really solid in this deck as well. We can top it up with this. Marvelous, nice bit of protection. I think the these just being a bit more proactive, I like, actually. Like, Step Up the Back is actually perfect in this deck. I think one or two counter spells we could definitely add. Pretty solid. We're on 53. So we need our interaction. So, Lightning Bolt. People should run Lightning Bolt more in Commander. Very solid card. I mean, it's great card in all of Magic. Like, Elsha's a great example. This is a Monday commander with only 1 toughness. Dice to a Lightning Bolt. Change tags, interaction. Marvelous. Right. So the rest is going to be swords to plowshares. Path to exile. And what's great is that we can be proactive with these. We can do these on our turn to get a blocker out the way. And it will trigger our commander as well. That's just really solid. Like, so we do want all of this to be on instant sorceries. What else is good? Chouse Warp. We're a bit more generic-y now, but just being able to answer anything is really nice. There's also Generous Gift. We love that. Alright. Pongify? Again, single mana. Like, the curve on this deck is going to be... That is a wedge of ones. I utterly love that. You're just going to be doing so many things in this deck. That's one of the things that's going to be great. There's the blue one that exiles. Exile creature. And they make a 2/2. What's it called? Reality Shift. Great card. Love that. Great way of interacting with our opponent stuff. While we're here, Resculpt is also pretty solid. So with any kind of commander deck now, I'm generally 8 bits of targeted removal. And then 2 board wipes. What do we want with this? There's Chandra's... one where she's kind of going like that. Chandra's Ignition. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to each other creature and each opponent. So, this is not the most guaranteed board wipe. So we will probably add a Wrath of God as a guaranteed board wipe in a moment. But with this, if we've had a big turn... before we attack, we can do this. In theory, wipe the board, swing through with Elsha, then make a bunch more tokens. That's really good. This is one... like... This is a more synergistic board wipe, but I think it could do a lot of damage in this deck, like to our opponents as well. Like, it can also be a win con. We can just, because it's to each opponent as well, just go off with all of our card draw and all of our pump spells. Actually, the pump spells as well with this, like brute force into this, like that's going to be good enough just to wipe out most of the board anyway. I think that's going to be pretty solid. And then we can top it up with a very solid Wrath of God. Meow, darling. Wrath of God is just some generic bits. I think I like that. We're at 63 bits. There's a few cards I definitely wanted to add in here just because I know they'll do really well. So we might need to make a couple of cuts. Probably somewhere between pump and card draw because a bunch of these do draw us cards as well. So let's talk about Zada. Zada is a phenomenal Magic card and I utterly love it. 3 in a red... 3/3, creature goblin ally. Whenever you cast an instant sorcery spell that targets only Zada, Hedron Grinder, copy that spell for each other creature you control that spell could target. Each copy targets a different one of those creatures. So how this works is if we have any kind of board state and our commander out, which if things are going relatively well, we should be doing, we cast a brute force on Zada. Zada gets +3/3. Small cat, come here. Thank you, darling. Thank you. Zada gets +3/3, but then so will all of our board. All of our board of prowessy tokens and our commander also get it. There isn't really a downside of running Zada in this deck. Generally, one of the best cards in this type of deck. Like, if I'm honest with you, this used to be, like, Zada is a very cool commander deck, but it's kind of like, because this is the 3-color version, this has probably replaced it. But like all of these this mono red stuff used to be in the Zada deck. So this is going to be kind of like we'll call this actually win cons. Actually, I think it's probably a better way of describing it, because like if you get Zada in play, things really start popping off, especially when you get to things like this is where the target creature with the draw a card text gets really strong. Because if you Zada, if you cast a copy of Defiant Strike on Zada with any kind of board state, each of those will trigger and you will draw that many cards. Phenomenal, we utterly love it. Let's do Feather the Redeemed. That was the other one that's kind of really solid and really good. Feather the Redeemed. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets a creature you control, exile that card instead of putting it into your graveyard as it resolves. If you do, return that card to your hand at the beginning of the next end step. This is phenomenal because effectively it lets us cast these again and again. All of these, we cast it, it goes to exile, comes back to our hand rather than going to the graveyard. Lets you really pop off, lets you do a bunch of really broken things. Just like effectively it's just drawing you it's drawing you another card. It's just putting it into your hand rather than the graveyard. That's really good. You can go and win cons. We'll tidy up the sections afterwards for anyone who wants to look at this in the future. All right, so on 65. So we're actually going to get to the point where we should be there. But I know there's some other like buffs and win cons I want to add. We went a bit hard on our pump and card draw, so we'll make some cuts there in a little bit. What else do we want? Non-creature... Actually, there must be other creatures get prowess. That must exist. Would it be gain prowess? If we could spell prowess, obviously. Prowess. Creatures gain prowess. Is that going to be how it's worded? Creature prowess. Maybe this is going to do it. Here we go. Bria Riptide Rogue. 4 mana, 3/3. Prowess. Other creatures you control have prowess. For what it's worth, prowess does stack. If a creature has multiple instances of prowess, they each trigger separately. So that, with our tokens, is going to be really good. Whenever you cast on a creature spell, target creature you control can't be blocked this turn. Well, this card does everything in this deck. Casting on a creature spell, Elsha can't be blocked. That's kind of... Okay. Bria might be the best card in this deck. Definitely a world where that is true. Where are we? So we want a couple of ways of buffing up. So... Cast... Plus... I think that might do it. Let's do cast non... I know there's some Jeskai cards that are going to be doing this. We want cards that whenever we cast a non-creature spell, our board gets plus something. Let's search by EDH rank. Lost more card. Good to see me out today. Here we go. Jeskai Ascendancy. That's the card I was after. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Untap those creatures. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. Wow, that's on defense as well. That's really cool. But this is effectively prowess. It's not the word prowess, but whenever you cast a non-creature spell, creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. That is effectively prowess. That's really cool. Want another one of these in the deck. I'm going to do a bunch of work. Marvellous. Right, we have a couple of bits left. Because of the time, let's do the EDH Rec Sanity check at the end, where we'll also do the mana base. Let's see what is in the general list, and let's see what other people are adding. It'll probably be pretty similar. Yeah, so because this is also the pre-con, you are just going to get a lot of cards from the pre-con. I don't think you need all of those. I kind of like everything. Will of the Jeskai is pretty solid. I like giving everything flashback in our graveyard. That's pretty cool. That could get in. I can see why that's there. I'm glad that Monastery Mentor comes in the pre-con. That's pretty good. Veyran? If casting or copying instant cause a if casting or copying what is this? If casting or copying an instant or sorcery spell causes a triggered ability of a permanent control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. That's effectively double prowess. It'll double up the prowess of everything that already has prowess. I think, can we drop and drag from here? Marvellous, we can. Love that for us. So Veyran's pretty solid. So you can definitely go hard on the whirlwind, on the ponders and preordains, which we kind of have. Ooh, slip through space. Target creature can't be blocked this turn, draw a card. That is another one that I think we should be adding, because we do want to be pushing through damage. You can go into pump. I'm assuming everything else is going to be pretty standard. So yeah, so stuff like Balmor, generically solid, basically gives them prowess. There's a bunch of other options. Yeah, I think we've kind of caught the bulk of it. We haven't gone as hard on the token maker, so I don't hate Kaikar. Kaikar could be pretty good. Leonine Scribe, another version of these effects. I think you could definitely top that off. I do quite like Lear. We're not actually super high on counter spells. We only currently have an offer you can't refuse, because we're more proactive, basically. So I do quite like Lear as just a 5 mana, each spell's going to be countered. Each instant or sorcery card in your graveyard games has flashback. The spell's flashback cost is equal to that card's mana value. Just being able to cast these again and again, I do quite like. It's effectively another copy of Feather. I think Lear's a cool one. Actually, I see something else I want to talk about, which I don't think works. Or it does work, but it's not. So stuff like Gutter Snipe. Whenever you cast an instant sorcery spell, this creature deals 2 damage to each opponent. This is a fine card in the deck, but I don't actually like it. For me, this is similar to Impact Tremors. These kind of cards. Like, in theory, we are a token deck. Sort of. We are a deck that... Our commander makes tokens, therefore we can run Impact Tremors. And Impact Tremors would probably be fine in this deck, but it's kind of like a step... The way I think about commander decks is I have my commander and I have I have a ring around it of like this is what the game plan is. You then have a bunch of other things that work with those cards, like a second ring, and like that's where Impact Tremors is. I don't like running too many cards that kind of like, oh, if I get this plus this working, then C. I don't want A plus B makes C good. I want A plus B being good, if that makes sense. I don't like cards like Impact Tremors is like an extra level. It's not really It doesn't buff up our commander. It doesn't make tokens itself. It's not really rewarding us for doing what the game plan is doing. I think that Snipe is sort of similar. Like, it will be solid and it will ping a bunch of damage through, but it's not making tokens and it's not buffing up Elsha itself. I think Gutter Snipe is kind of is a bit of an obvious cut, actually. I'm not a big fan of it. The rest of this is kind of stuff you would expect to see. Like, yeah, Mondrak doubles tokens. Again, we are a deck that makes tokens, but we're not a token deck, so I think Mondrak isn't actually the best include here. Personally, I wouldn't include it. Same with, yeah, Perforos. Here's an example of what I was just talking about. It's an extra step beyond what I think the deck is wanting to do. Let's just go to utility lands. I think we're actually in a pretty good place. I will make some cuts to this to bring it down. So stuff like Rogue's Passage, perfect. There is another one. There's another Rogue's Passage, but it's search land power. Escape Tunnel. It is an Evolving Wilds that you can sack it with target creature with power 2 or less can't be blocked this turn. That's really good in a deck where our commanders are 1/1 that can get bigger with all these instants, because we just attack, we Escape Tunnel, and then after it's got through and in blocks, when it's not blocked, we can buff it up. That's pretty good. Ooh, Sushi City might be a bit... Yeah, I think it might be a bit too much. Mysterized Village seems like a great one in this deck. Yeah, we are a 3-color deck, so we can't run too many... I do like Arena of Glory, actually, that's pretty solid. Just giving Elsha haste, I think, is going to be pretty good. The rocks we kind of went here. So yeah, Felwar Stone, generically solid, could get in. I don't know why you're doing Mox Amber. I can't be bothered with that. Don't put Mox Amber in this deck, that seems a bit much. Marvellous, let's have a look. So we need a couple of cuts. We're on 74. because of the curve of this deck, because 23 of the spells are 1 mana, I think we can be greedy with our mana, but I think we still need about 6 cuts. It's going to be between pump and card draw. So cards that only do one thing are more likely to get cut. So a card like Monstrous Rage is more likely to get cut than a Rebellious Strike, for example. Like, it's why Titan Strength is great, because it scries and it filters us through our deck. So just the generic ones, I think are probably that's where we're going to be looking. We'll cut you just because you're a bit more of a faff, to be honest with you. Infuriate can come out. We have ones that are slightly better. 12 bits of card draw is probably a bit too much. We can go down to 10 because we have things like Shadow Rift, we have Slip Through Space. These replace themselves. These are effectively card draw. We'll cut Lorien Revealed, because if we're building this on a budget, we won't have a Triome. Actually, the budget on this deck is phenomenal. Pretty solid deck. Yeah, Access Tunnel was the card. Yeah, we've got that in. Oh, Access Tunnel. That's a different card. 1 second. Access Tunnel is a different card. Ooh, that's solid. I like that. Target creature with power 3 or less can't be blocked this turn. That's pretty good. We'll get you in. So we're currently not doing rituals in this deck. You could definitely add rituals on top of your general bits of ramp. I think if you went 8 bits of ramp, you could run 2 rituals. Specifically with Leer, I think Leer is just solid of... Like, because the mana is so good in this deck, you don't have to cast Leer on 5. You could cast it... When you cast... You could be casting this on 5 or 6 where you already have some more reliable bits of ramp in play. And then with Leer, just getting back a Pongify or... Like, we have so many 1-mana spells, I think there's easily going to be a way where this comes down and we have a spare mana to untap it. I think Leer's going to be pretty solid just because we don't have the need for that many much counter magic in here. I do agree that kind of... For me, I generally like my ramp to be consistent. I want things that are going to make me mana turn after turn. I do think there could be a world where where you could add more rituals in here, especially as we have what do you call it? Rite of the Dragonstorm. We have like we have some 5 or 6 mana stuff. Yeah, Rite of the Dragon, call it like the Pyretic Ritual. The 3 mana one in red that makes 5, like this, like pushing this out really early or pushing out a bunch of stuff, I think could be pretty solid. But generally, I'm kind of a bit more consistent with my ramp. How do we go up to 72? Because we have lands in here. Okay, so thank God. I thought this day. All right, so we're actually at 72 minus 5 is 67. So I think 1 more cut and we should be good. Probably just cut Deep Analysis because it's 4 mana. I think that's where we're going to have to end it for today. We have to start the day job in a moment. But I think this is pretty solid. I really like this deck. I am a big fan of decks that just burn through their deck really quickly. Like, you can... Look at that curve. Have you ever seen a curve that has 22 1-mana spells in it? So, actually... This is the thing that excites me about this deck, is just that you're going to be playing a lot of Magic. You're going to be having a lot of game actions in this deck. You're going to be doing a lot of cool stuff, and you have these cool win cons at the top end. Like, just getting a Zada and a Veyran in play, or a Leer, so you can just keep playing your spells over and over again. I think it's going to be really good. Do just want to check if it will tell me how many non-creature spells we have in here. I'm assuming it's going to be a lot. Let's sort. Can we just visualize it by subtype? No, by type. So that's phenomenal. So we have about a third of the deck. So 10, 22. So yes, less than a third of the deck is not instant and sorcery, and we have this big wedge. That's perfect. This is what you want to see in any kind of spell slinger adjacency deck. You want to see over a third. This is actually like almost a quarter of the deck. No. What's less than a third? Yeah. This is over a third of the deck is instant or sorceries. That is exactly where you want to be. So I'm pretty happy with this. Again, links to what we built will be in the show notes below. Thank you all very much for watching. That's where we need to end it. Need to start the day job. Yeah, thank you all for being here. Good to be back doing these streams in the morning. We'll be back tomorrow with another Commander Deck Tech. Do remember to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Greatly helps out. And thank you for the suggestions in the chat. Also, people putting in suggestions really helps me kind of build these, really helps kind of guide where we're going with this video. I will finish off this with lands and such on my lunch break today, so come back later, or if you're watching it, it should be, if you're watching this later in the day, if you're in the States or whatever, it should be more up to date. But thank you all very much for being here. Enjoy your day, and I'll catch you all tomorrow. Have a good one. Goodbye.